The stories in 10th of December, his new collection, are just dazzling. The book is full of Saunders' signature wit, his delightful humor, and his unique, engaging prose. But this is also a book that has the ability to turn you into a more compassionate human. I really think that's true. It's a book that can change the way you look at the world after reading it. So I'm so excited to have him here. Please give a big hand for George Saunders.
That's so nice. I just feel like sitting down and not messing it up. Thank you so much for coming out. I was just saying, I think this is the store where I did my first ever reading back in '96. And I remember it because my family was here and they were about 2/3 of the audience. And when I showed up, whoever was supposed to introduce me had quit. So I kind of stood around a while, and this young guy came up and he said, "Dude, what's going on? You look worried." I said, "Yeah, you know, I'm supposed to do this reading." He said, "Well, who's introducing you?" I said, "I don't know. Let me see your book." So he looked at it and went, "I got it." And he comes up, he said, "This dude's got a blurb from Garrison Keillor and Thomas Pynchon. Fucking good enough for me." So thank you so much. I can't really express to you how much it means to me that you would all be out. So thank you again. So I'll just read a little section from the story, Escape from Spiderhead. Into small workroom 2, they sent this pale, tall girl. "What do you think?" Abnesti said over the PA. "Me?" I said, or her? "Both," Abnesti said. "Pretty good," I said. "Fine, you know," she said, "normal." Abnesti asked us to rate each other more quantifiably, as per pretty, as per sexy. It appeared we liked each other about average, i.e. no big attraction or revulsion either way. Abnesti said, "Jeff, drip on." "Acknowledge," I said. "Heather, drip on," he said. "Acknowledge," Heather said. And we looked at each other like, what happens next? Well, what happened next was Heather soon looked super good. And I could tell she thought the same of me. It came on so sudden, we were like laughing. How could we not have seen it? How cute the other one was. Luckily, there was a couch in the workroom. It felt like our drip had, in addition to whatever they were testing, some ED556 in it, which lowers your shame level to like nil. Because soon, there on the couch, off we went. It was super hot between us, and not merely in a horn dog way. Hot, yes, but also just right. Like if you dreamed of a certain girl all your life, and all of a sudden, there she was in your same workroom. Jeff, Abnesti said, "I'd like your permission to pep up your language centers." "Go for it," I said, under her now. "Drip on," he said. "Acknowledge," I said. "Me too," Heather said. "You got it," Abnesti said with a laugh. "Drip on." "Acknowledge," she said, all breathless. Soon, experiencing the benefits of the flowing verbalus in our drips, we were not only fucking really well, but also talking pretty great. Like, instead of just saying the sex-type things we had been saying, such as wow and oh god and hell yes and so forth, we now began freestyling our sensations and thoughts in elevated diction with 80% increased vocab. Our well-articulated thoughts being recorded for later analysis. For me, the feeling was approximately astonishment at the dawning realization that this woman was being created in real time, directly from my own mind, per my deepest longings. Finally, after all these years, was my thought, I had found the precise arrangement of body, face, mind that personified all that was desirable. The taste of her mouth, the look of that halo of blondish hair spread out around her cherubic yet naughty-looking face. She was beneath me now, legs way up. Even, not to be crude or dishonor the exalted feelings I was experiencing, the sensations her vagina was producing along the length of my thrusting penis were precisely those I had always hungered for. Though I had never, before this instant, realized that I so ardently hungered for them. That is to say, a desire would arise, and concurrently, the satisfaction of that desire would also arise. It was as if A, I longed for a certain heretofore untasted taste, until B, said longing became nearly unbearable, at which time C, I found a morsel of food with that exact taste already in my mouth, perfectly satisfying my longing. Every utterance, every adjustment of posture bespoke the same thing. We had known each other forever, were soulmates, had met and loved in numerous preceding lifetimes, and would meet and love in many subsequent lifetimes, always with the same transcendently stupefying results. Then there came a hard-to-describe but very real drifting off into a number of sequential reveries that might best be described as a type of non-narrative mind scenery, i.e. a series of vague mental images of places I had never been, a certain pine-packed valley and high white mountains, a chalet-type house in a cul-de-sac, the yard of which was overgrown with wide, stunted Susian trees, each of which triggered a deep sentimental longing, longings that coalesced into, and were soon reduced to, one central longing, i.e. an intense longing for Heather, and Heather alone. This mind scenery phenomenon was strongest during our third bout of lovemaking. Apparently, Evnesty had included some Vivistiff in my drip. Afterward, our protestations of love poured forth simultaneously, linguistically complex and metaphorically rich. I dare say we had become poets. We were allowed to lie there, limbs intermingled for nearly an hour. It was bliss. It was perfection. It was that impossible thing, happiness that does not wilt to reveal the thin shoots of some new desire rising from within it. We cuddled with a fierceness focus that rivaled the fierceness focus with which we had fucked. There was nothing less about cuddling vis-a-vis fucking, is what I mean to say. We were all over each other in the super friendly way of puppies or spouses meeting for the first time after one of them has undergone a close brush with death. Everything seemed moist, permeable, sayable. Then something in the drip began to wane. I think Evnesty had shut off the verbaluse, also the shame reducer. Basically, everything began to dwindle. Suddenly we felt shy, but still loving. We began the process of trying to talk après verbaluse, always awkward. Yet I could see in her eyes that she was still feeling love for me, and I was definitely still feeling love for her. Well, why not? We had just fucked 3 times. Why do you think they call it making love? That is what we had just made 3 times, love. Then Evnesty said, "Drip on." We'd kind of forgotten he was even there behind his one-way mirror. I said, "Do we have to? We are really liking this right now." "Oh, we're just going to try to get you guys back to baseline," he said. "We've got more to do today." "Shit," I said. "Rats," she said. "Drip on," he said. "Acknowledge," we said. Soon something began to change. I mean, she was fine. A handsome, pale girl. But nothing special. And I could see that she felt the same, re me, i.e., what had all that fuss been about just now? Why weren't we dressed? We real quick got dressed. Kind of embarrassing. Did I love her? Did she love me? Ha. No. Then it was time for her to go. We shook hands. Out she went. Lunch came in on a tray. Spaghetti with chicken chunks. Man, was I hungry. I spent all lunchtime thinking. It was weird. I had the memory of fucking Heather, the memory of having felt the things I'd felt for her, the memory of having said the things I'd said to her. My throat was like raw from how much I'd said and how fast I felt compelled to say it. But in terms of feelings, I basically had nada left. Just a hot face and some shame, re having fucked 3 times in front of Evnesty. So now I'll do what we in Reading Rainbow used to call leaving you hanging. So thank you. And when I was first starting to write, I would always feel a little guilty about having too much fun. You know, the inner nun, "Mr. Saunders, why are you getting so excited?" You know. And so for a while, I tried to do a suppression thing where, okay, anytime I feel ambitious, I should be ashamed, you know, and that seems anti-life somehow, you know, to say I really want to write a book, and then that voice says, "Oh, you do you?" You know, like who wants to live with that? So I think my take on it now is that if one has a desire to be creative or even to be known, you know, or to make money at something or to be famous, that if that desire is there, it's kind of like hunger. You can say, "Oh, I'm never hungry. I'm just the kind of guy who never gets hungry," and then you're just full of shit because of course you do. So to me, it seems like part of it is to say, well, if I have this desire, I didn't cause it. There it is. maybe the thing to do is run at it with a lot of energy and good humor and try to give it what it wants and then see what happens. So, you know, for me, one of the things that I've kind of worked with in my writing career is this idea, can you do a form of articulate inarticulateness? So I came from Chicago, and a lot of the, you know, there was, no, I mean, not that the whole city is like that, but in our neighborhood, there were a lot of older guys who just were sweethearts, you know, real sentimental guys, but they didn't exactly express it, you know, so if they wanted to say, George, you're a wonderful young man with lots of potential, they'd say, you fucking jagoff. And then they, you know, grab you on the head and pretend to punch you, and, you know, but the thing was, we knew what that meant, you know, he loved me. So for a long time in my beginning writing, I was just sort of repentant and ashamed of that thing, and tried to write like Faulkner, you know, tried to reach up and be very, and then at some critical point in my 30s, I just thought, man, this is not working, and almost like somebody getting beat up in an alley, you know, when you look down and you see you've got one arm behind your back, I thought, oh yeah, humor, you know, and also that idea that any language you use, even if it's constricted and crimped, if there's genuine emotion coming through it, then it kind of lights up, and I have come to see that as an operating definition of poetry. You know, it's a language that's too small for the beauty it's trying to express, and it gets a little burst open and frayed at the edges. You know?